Welcome to our program today. My guest today at Millcreek Township is Jessica James. Jessica is our new Millcreek Township Recycling Coordinator, and welcome, Jessica.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, and it's exciting to have you on board. There's a lot of things with recycling that you've been involved with, and that we're grateful to have you, and it keeps my life a lot busier with you here. So, and there's so much information that we have today that we want to get right to it. Jessica, I know that recently the law had changed, January 24th of 2013.
That's correct.
The law changed as far as being able to take some type of material and putting it into the landfill. The waste management will no longer pick that stuff up. So let's talk a little bit about what can no longer go into the landfill, and then what we're going to have to do to get rid of it.
Sure. Well, right now through the Covered Device Recycling Act of 2010, which you said went into effect on January 24th, we can no longer recycle, we can no longer put in electronics with our curbside trash. So what that means is we need to pull out the computers, desktop, notebook computers, computer monitors, keyboards, your mice, and televisions as well. So all of those are included with the Electronics Act, and we need to find a new way to dispose of those. Since those have heavy metals such as lead, cadmium, and mercury, once those start to decompose in the landfill, there's a lot of harmful effects there. So we do need to pull those out, and Millcreek residents actually can get rid of those through the At Your Door program, which I'll explain in a minute. I do want to say this new act does not include televisions with screens of 4 inches or less, mobile phones, telephones, typewriters, calculators, GPS systems, MP3s, components of your motor vehicle, or any appliances. Maybe there's an electronics with your appliance, and it doesn't include those things.
So how do you get rid of those things then?
So with the electronics, the TVs and computers, you can get rid of them through the At Your Door program we have set up with Waste Management as a part of our residential contract. So there is no additional fee to use this program, which is great. So there's no need to, to illegally dump those materials, to sneak them into the trash. We've already worked it into the contract, and essentially what you can do is call the 1-800 number we have, and I can give that right now. It's 1-800-449-7587. Why
don't you give that one more time, because I know how it is when there's something on TV that you're looking for a piece of paper, and it's like, what was that number? And then all of a sudden, so why don't you give that number one more time so those that are watching know.
It's 1-800-449-7587, and that's the telephone number you can call. You can also go online and sign up on their website and let them know what materials you're disposing of, and you do that using the Millcreek zip code you live at, and that's at www.wmatyourdoor.com. So that's all spelled out, wmatyourdoor.com.
Okay. Now with that, I know that a lot of people, and I told you just before the program today, recently our computer accidentally was dropped, and we've got to get rid of that. And then also I went home and now I found out that the printer actually was dropped, and it's like, oh no, how are we going to get rid of this? Do you put it in the garbage or what? And working with it day in and day out, it's like you forget.
You do, and I just recently found out that about 3% of the waste stream is made up of electronics. Wow. So we do need to make sure that those are kept out of the landfill, but Waste Management will accept those materials I said, and what they're going to do is when you call that number, they're going to send you a kit in the mail, and I usually just like to say a bag or a kit, and what you get with it is a large bag. It's about 33 gallon bag, and maybe some labels here. And I can go over all of the materials that are accepted with the program, because it's not just electronics. They accept back household hazardous waste. And what they'll accept back in that program are garden chemicals, solvents, oil and latex-based paint, which I always get a lot of calls on, aerosols, cleaners, antifreeze, thermometers, batteries, metal polish, pool chemicals, adhesives, used motor oil, gasoline, your CFL and fluorescent bulbs, and then again, those electronics. And what they're going to do, they're going to send you this kit in the mail. You're going to stick all those materials inside, zip tie the bag up, and set it right outside your front door. They don't want to mistake it with the curbside. The bag itself is transparent, And when they do that, they're going to give you a new collection date that's different than your curbside collection date. And that's because they're coming in from out of town and collecting all of Millcreeks at once.
Okay.
So it might be a date that's 1 or 2 weeks out, which is good because then you can kind of rummage around your house. You can also partner with your neighbors so you can fill that bag to the brim, and then the driver will collect it right outside your front door.
Now you said you could partner with your neighbors, but if your neighbor doesn't have garbage collection, can you still partner with your neighbor?
No, and technically with our ordinances, everybody must be signed up for trash and recycle collection with Waste Management as a part of our residential contract.
Okay. With that, I think that you have a commercial?
I do. We've been trying to promote the new law and our At Your Door program through a lot of different avenues. So if you have any questions, you can certainly look in your Millcreek calendar that you received. The information's in the back there. We've sent out newsletters, and we also have this commercial ready for you to view.
It's easy to empty the trash on your computer, but in Pennsylvania there are changes to the way we can dispose of computers and other electronics. Because most contain heavy metals such as lead, cadmium, and mercury, e-waste can no longer be picked up curbside with residential trash in Pennsylvania. For Millcreek Township residents, help is just a phone call away with no extra charge to your garbage bill. Simply call Waste Management's At Your Door program at 1-800-449-7587 to have your e-waste taken off your hands and out of the trash.
Thank you for that information, for that commercial. That's great. I think the people of Millcreek Township really will appreciate that program. It's a lot of information. It's new. They're already paying for it. And that's what I really want to stress is you're paying for that in your garbage pickup already. So please take advantage of it and let's keep this stuff out of the landfill. It is a new law. You may not be aware of it, but there are a lot of things that you can do to help keep that landfill from filling up. One of the other issues that I'm very excited about that thank you for doing. I know that you got a hold of a company just recently, and the things that are very sensitive to us. I mean, we hear it over and over and over again with computers and with everything else. Oh, and that is one thing with computers. Right. When they're taken, people can feel secure that they're going to the right place.
They are. Waste Management, the facility we send it to with Waste Management, they are a certified e-Stewards recycler and an R2 recycler, which means they actually have third-party vendors come in, approve their establishments. They make sure that your circuit boards and those sensitive information, that the microchips aren't getting out and they're not being shipped overseas. So we are really secure with this program.
Yeah, because a lot of people will say, well, I'm just going to give that computer to somebody that's going down the street. They're going to strip the metal out of it. Right. But when your hard drive's not scrubbed, and I had to learn this myself, when it's not clean, there's all your information could be on there.
Right.
And anybody that's really out there today could steal your bank account or your checking account or any of that. So this is a safe way to get rid of those products. So again, another value of trying to get rid of it through Waste Management is we have a person that's doing it the right way. Right,
and I do want to also mention, you brought up a good fact that they are paying for it with their resident contracted bill, but with that being said, the surveys we have gotten back, because once you receive this kit in the mail, you get a survey that you can send right back to us and we get the feedback. I have had nothing but excellence circled on all of our surveys. It's been so easy, such an easy program to get rid of, that actually other municipalities are coming to us and saying, I see this program worked well for you, we're going to implement it now too. So Millcreek was kind of the guinea pig, and it worked out so well that they're going to start implementing it in some of our neighboring municipalities.
I know we were very nervous about it, but with working with Waste Management and the company that they do things the right way.
Right,
so,
right.
And thank you for that. I know that there's another area, when we talk about sensitive documents and stuff, the computers as such, and then now there's another thing out there with a lot of the paper that's going around, and how do you get rid of something that has all of your, you're not allowed to burn that stuff anymore.
Right.
So how do you get rid of a document now, and trying to be aware that when someone dies, there's so much, and recently we went through that, there's so much stuff in your house that you need to get rid of, but you want to feel secure that no one's going to get that sensitive information. So I know you started something new, so why don't you tell the people what this program's all about?
What we recently started up was a free shredding program for our senior citizen residents, which we qualify as 65 or over, or for anyone who has recently lost a loved one. So this does not count toward that senior citizen. You can be under 65, but you've recently lost a loved one, and you're looking to dispose of those materials. Again, we really want to keep those sensitive documents out of the hands of identity thieves. So we partnered with ShredX, and they are a local Millcreek business, which is nice. So we're supporting the local businesses too. And what's going to happen is if you have some documents that need shredded, you're going to give my office a call, and I can give you that information as well. But you're going to give my office a call. I can register you for the program, and you can either then take your documents right over to ShredX, and I will fax over your information, and that way they have you down for the program. They're going to shred it for you within 30 minutes. You can stand there and watch, and they will also provide you with a certificate of destruction, so you know that those materials were destructed on that day that you were there. Also, with that being said, we knew we were incorporating senior citizens into this, and we wanted to make sure that nobody was really putting themselves in any danger, going up into their attic and grabbing, cardboard boxes or down into their basement. ShredX will actually come to their house and go down into their basement, go into their attic, pull those boxes out, and shred them on site for them at their home.
Jessica, let me ask you though, because with senior citizens and anybody nowadays, how can the seniors or those that are going to take advantage of this that we have for the seniors basically, how do they know for sure that it's ShredX knocking on their house? If someone's knocking on your door and says, we're here, do you have any papers that you want to get rid of? Is there something that will assure our residents that it is that's ShredX, the company that's actually coming to do it?
Well, they will, I was going to say, they will hand you a business card. So I would make sure that they do give you a business card, and they will also call you ahead of time to schedule that appointment to make sure you're going to be there. So between the two of those, I think will be pretty safe. They are also using Millcreek Township recycling bins, some of the large 65-gallon toters. So if you see that and they're toting your bins out, they do have our bins there to assist with the program.
So with both programs, with the computers and the stuff that you had mentioned, it's on our the taping that you did, the infomercial, commercial, whatever you want to call it. With that and with ShredX, number one, if you're not sure, please call the Township building. I think everyone knows that number. It's 833-1111. You can call, talk to Jessica, make sure that you set up a time. Then that way the person that's coming to your house is someone that has been checked out by Millcreek Township, and they're the officials that should be there doing it the right way. So if you've got 18 boxes, and this just happened recently to us, 18 boxes of paper, and you really don't know what to do with it, and you can't burn it, you don't want to go into the landfill, you can call the Township. They'll set this meeting up, they'll set the appointment up. The people will call you and tell you what time they're coming, and you'll know then for sure that it's someone that's dealing with Millcreek Township.
That's correct. And like I said before, with all the papers being so condensed, I really don't want to see that as a fire hazard either. You just never know when things get in the way, what can happen there. So
and I can just look and remember my wife telling me, we really need to get rid of a lot of this stuff. Is there a program for someone that's not a senior, or if they have not had a death in the family, because this is for those two people, those groups right now. So the program for senior citizens and anyone who's recently experienced a loss will be open for the entire 2013 calendar year. So from January to December. With that being said, if you're not eligible for that program to drop off at any time, we do offer 2 take back program days. One is going to be on May 18th with our May special collection event, and the other one is going to be open county-wide on June 1st, and those are both Saturdays. And the county-wide shredding event will be actually here at the Millcreek Township building. Okay. There's another subject that is near and dear to my heart. I know that we're trying to keep everything out of the landfill. We just recently went for a grant. We applied for a grant for, and again, the terminology between a digester and an in-vessel machine is basically what? I'm going to let you explain that, and how people can get rid of food waste, organic waste.
Sure.
How do they do that to stop from going into the landfill?
Right. So about 30 to 35% of the waste stream, like I said, 3% was electronics. About 30 to 35%, unfortunately, is organics. So that's going to be your food waste and your grass. That's a really, really high number. So what we really, really encourage people to do is backyard composting.
Okay.
And we do have special workshops that have been put into place to help you learn how to do that properly. And most people think that they can just throw food and grass and leaves in a pile and it'll decompose and do compost and mulch, and it will just take a very, very long time. So that'll be in your backyard for a while. Through the compost workshops that we hold, which are called Compost, the New Black Gold, we will actually go over the process of how many browns to greens need thrown in. So browns are your leaves and greens are your grasses and your food waste. And we actually partner with the Erie County Recycling Program and Environment Erie on those workshops. And we've held about, I would say we've held them for about last year and a half. And every single workshop we've held has been full and been booked about 2 weeks to a month in advance.
Wow.
So we fill up really fast for those. I can give you the next 2 dates we have scheduled. There are 2 in April, and one is on Saturday, April 13th, and Saturday, April 20th. If you can't make those, there are also 2 available in September, but they are from 9 to 12, so they're 3 hours long. But we get great speakers at the workshop. So of course Don Blakesley speaks from the Erie County Recycling Program, and he gives a lot of those stats that I was talking about, the 30% organic makeup in the waste stream, so he'll give you those kind of stats. We have Environment Erie talking about the Recycle Erie program for commercial establishments. Myself and Corey Walters from Millfair will talk about composting on a large scale, which we do at the Millfair Compost and Recycling Center. Waste Management will come talk about the past and the future of the Lakeview landfill. We know we're filling that up pretty quickly, so they'll touch base on that. We have a master gardener come speak from the Erie County Cooperative Extension, and they give the main bulk of the presentation for the composting. So you got to get a lot of good core information. We don't try to overwhelm you, but we definitely want to give you the basics. And then we do have good ideas coming in to talk about the composter that we give out.
So if you really want to try to eliminate everything that you're putting into the garbage when you're collecting your food scraps and stuff, you put that in a separate container.
Right.
You can call the office again, talk about when the classes are.
Right.
We'll be able to set something up with you. Do they get a compost bin when they're done with the class?
They do, and it's a really, really great bin. It's called the Compost Wizard Junior, so feel free to look that up online. It's made by Good Ideas, which is out in Lake City, so another close local company, and it's a great in-vessel bin. So a lot of times you just have maybe some wooden slats where people tried composting before and it didn't work out so well. This actually has a lid that screws shut and is on wheels, so it can turn, which actually accelerates the decomposition rates.
So you can call the office, you can get signed up for the classes,
right.
And if you're really concerned and you want a project with your kids to show them, how you can decompose this material and use it for your around your flowers,
right.
your shrubs, your bushes, whatever, you don't have to pay for it then. It's your own product, and you can show your kids and teach them, how to get rid of stuff without putting it into the landfill.
Exactly, and it does produce a really great product in a couple weeks.
Now I know that out at Millfair, the recycling center, we have been talking a lot. We do leaf compost out there right now. We do not accept grass out there,
right.
And a lot of people think that they can take grass and just dump it over the hill if they live by something like that, or just dump it. But the grass is very dangerous.
Right.
As far as kids and stuff go, kids like to play in piles of stuff, and you got a pile of grass out there, and I know, working with the fire departments, within an hour's time, or if you collect the grass and you put it in the back of your truck and you're going to take it somewhere,
right.
and you leave it in your garage, please don't do that. It's very very, very dangerous. It could kill you and the family if you leave it overnight. That's how potent that is. You don't want to leave it in the back of a truck in a building. But let's talk about the new machine that we're looking for, the grant that we applied for, how it will help the recycling center, and what it will actually do.
Sure. Well, what we're looking at is getting an in-vessel composter. So basically, essentially, like I was talking about that small Compost Wizard Junior, this is going to be that on a much larger scale. It's great because we can then start composting year-round. So right now, out at Mill Fair Center, we have windrow piles, which are piles of leaves that are in straight lines, and they decompose over time. We, send the turner over them, and it shuffles everything up, letting them to aerate with the oxygen. But this in-vessel composter will keep everything compact, so we'll have year-round composting. There is no runoff from this, so any byproducts and any of that liquid that comes out will be eliminated. Also, it's aesthetically pleasing, so it's you don't see some of those. If we were to start taking food scraps, you won't see it. You won't get the flies, you won't get the rodents. It'll be a closed system essentially. It's cost effective because we won't be taking those materials to the landfill, and we can then utilize around our parks or sell that finished compost at the end.
And grass, we've never accepted grass.
Right.
So a lot of the contractors that have been contacting, I know your office, and calling me, saying, where do we take the grass clippings when they're doing something? I know commercial accounts will have to pay to drop that stuff off, but it will give us another avenue out there to be able to I believe that when we take the leaves in, like we have right now, I was out there yesterday, and the big pile of leaves that we have in a row, we've got to start turning them with the small machine that we have.
Right.
But it takes so much longer because you're not adding that heat to that.
It does. The composting process, the way we work it now, usually takes about 10 to 12 months. If we were to use the digester, it would take about a month, and then a month outside the machine just curing. So I would say in total, before we can sell it, it will take about 2 months instead of 10 to 12.
Great. I know we're running out of time, and there's so much more and so much that we could cover, but I do want to talk about one thing, the cleanup day for Millcreek Township. I think we need to let people know when it is, and then also what they need to bring, because it is for Millcreek Township residents and Millcreek Township residents only. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
It is. It's our May Special Collection event that we hold every other year, or it was better known as the Spring Cleanup. It is going to be on May 18th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and you will need to show ID at the entrance. But we do accept materials such as appliances, automotive batteries, bicycles without tires, hot water tanks, lawn mowers. We will also do the paper shredding there. It will be on site. Propane tanks, scrap metal, textiles. We're going to be doing tires again, washers and dryers, and this year we're going to be adding in something new, which is construction and demolition waste.
Okay.
And with that being said, most of those are free, but appliances with Freon, propane tanks, and tires will all be charged a small fee.
Okay. With that, though, I know that there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing, and you said the demolition stuff now is new. Let's talk just a little bit, because we have a little bit of time. Basically, with the demolition stuff is if you've got an old door, if you've got windows, if
fencing,
you have something, who's going to be there, and how are we going to get rid of that?
We actually worked out a deal with Habitat for Humanity, and they're actually going to be stopping out and taking a look at those materials that you bring in. So, siding, roofing materials, anything that you can think of that would be used to construct a new house. It's not damaged. It can be reused again, but you just don't need it on your home anymore. Right now, you would need to use a bagster, which costs money, but we want you to bring it back here, let Habitat for Humanity take a look at it. If they don't need it, then we will just dispose of it, discard it, but we want them to take a look at it first.
So we're not really talking about like old shingles that are being taken off of a house. What we're talking about is if you have something that you haven't used, or maybe your husband was planning on putting a new door in, he never got around to it, and that's laying around, it's something that can be used again that Habitat for Humanity will be able to look at and put into their resale store, and then be able to help Habitat build more homes. So it's, again, it's not stuff like junk to bring that stuff you have to take care of, but it's stuff that can be reused again that could go for another benefit. Now, there are a couple people that are going to benefit from all this that we're taking in. Let's talk a little bit about them.
Right, so Habitat for Humanity is going to benefit from those materials you bring in. The Erie City Mission, we're collecting textiles, so clothing, towels, bed sheets. Erie City Mission is going to benefit from those materials. And then we also collect back the propane tanks, and those are going to be $3 each. And all the money that's collected from the propane tanks are going to go straight to the Millcreek Township Fire Departments.
Well, I can see that our time is just about gone, and we want to thank all of you. Jessica, thank you very much for coming. I know that we haven't gotten through everything that we wanted to talk about today. We'll have to do another program.
There's always a lot.
Always a lot.